Aisha, if I may come to you now, and I deliberately left the two diplomats towards the end. मैंने कहा छोटे मसले हल कर लें, फिर global मसलों की तरफ जाएंगे. So, you know, you are a diplomat where we call diplomacy in anxious times. जब हम convince हो गए थे कि हर मसले का हल है, democracy है, तो हमें फोर्ब्स ने और फॉरेन अफेयर्स ने और सब ने बताया कि जी डेमोक्रेसी तो बैक फुट पर है एंड द वर्ल्ड इज़ गोइंग टू बी टेकन ओवर बाय डिक्टेटर्स एंड द वर्ल्ड इज़ गोइंग एंड इज डेमोक्रेसी रियली एन आंसर or what Trump is doing is democracy, or does China have a better option? So in this anxiety and anxiousness, where do you see the role of diplomats in diplomacy? And has Pakistan's diplomatic footwork what it should be? You've been in that for ages. Answer the last question first.
Thank you, Huma, for having me on the panel. And of course, I must thank Ijaz Saab for giving me this opportunity. I'm very mindful that I am a minority in a house full of CEOs, both as a diplomat and as a woman. So I'm glad for my Indonesian colleague and friend, and for you, Huma, for making me feel less of a minority. So thank you for posing as much a difficult question as you possibly could. आपने शुरू में बात की कि हम आपने टर्म इस्तेमाल की वोका के ज़माने में रह रहे हैं. I think we are living in the mother of all VOCA eras. I think from a diplomatic perspective, we have never seen such volatility, confusion, and anxiety running through the corridors of some of the most powerful nations. And I want to refer to the recent Munich summit that took place just a couple of weeks ago, where the conversations and the speeches that were heard were reverberating throughout not just the EU, but across the world in terms of the change. And the change that has come from the United States in terms of its policy and its worldview, which is unexpected, non-traditional, and it has upended relationships built since the Second World War. So there is a completely different conversation taking place in many parts of the Western world. And I want to, in this short span that we have, I want to highlight especially how it would affect Pakistan, and then I'll come to your last question. The three trends that we see as diplomats that are emerging, and we all and people in this house and in Pakistan in general need to be very mindful of. And the first is the increasing emergence of nationalism, protectionism, and anti-immigration sentiment across the Western world in particular. In recent months, we have seen the leaders of some of the most powerful nations talk about anti-immigration and the laws that they want to institute to curb, of course, illegal migration, but also legal channels of migration. That should be a big question mark for a country like Pakistan, where increasingly we are told that the numbers of Pakistanis leaving Pakistan run into hundreds of thousands. That's one side of the narrative. The second side of the narrative is that increasingly we also see on our TV screens the tragedies of Pakistanis trying to find illegal ways to reach Western shores. That is a point of concern for all of us as a nation. It is not the government's job, it is not a particular sector's job, it is a collective national source of introspection, concern, and implementation, policy making at multiple levels. The other trend that I really want to emphasize on is how AI and technology is going to disrupt. It's going to disrupt workforces, it's going to disrupt traditional labor. And I want to especially mention our diaspora community, Homa. We have a 10 million diaspora across the globe. And I want to acknowledge there are many diaspora members here in this hall, and I want to acknowledge their contribution and services to the motherland. Adil Saab is here. Habib Ghiwala Saab is from Ireland, where I'm posted. He brought the Irish brand Butler's Chocolate and Cafe to Pakistan. So we want to acknowledge what the diaspora does for Pakistan. But these diaspora, especially in the Gulf countries, and elsewhere are going to be affected by the disruptive force of AI. Because many of the Gulf countries are accelerating towards digitization. They want skilled technical workforce. We have a lot of semi-skilled and unskilled labor in our Gulf countries that run into 5 to 6 million. And I'm afraid that if we don't upskill them and we don't invest in our people, they are going to be made redundant. Khalid Saab also touched upon. And they may be sent home. What are we going to do about that? So AI is the second major trend that we all need to be, and especially the corporate sector. Because the corporate sector is not just a beneficiary, it is also a direct stakeholder in a skilled, technically advanced, trained workforce. So these two are very important in my view as a diplomat when I see the world and the forces that are sweeping across the world. And the third that I really want to touch upon, and I think earlier in the earlier session there was, Sirajuddin Saab spoke about it at length, is the fact that there are aging demographies in the Western world in particular, also in East Asia, where they need young people to keep their own wheel of economy turning. We have a very young population, as Khalid Saab elaborated. If we really need to take advantage and position ourselves strategically to fill the demand of those countries, we need to focus on our human capital.
Very quick answer is, how do you find, you've been a diplomat for some time.
Yeah, for 30 years.
30 years.
Yeah.
What is Pakistan's diplomatic footwork like? Does it support the country? Is it neutral? Is it constrained? Or is it helping?
Pakistan's diplomacy does whatever within the means and resources made available to it throughout our 120 missions across the globe. We do our best in promoting, projecting, and promoting the cause of Pakistan and our national interest, of course. But I make a distinction. We live in an integrated world, Huma, and a world which is informed by a 24/7 news cycle, as Senator Sarmad explained so well and has such a experience in that. Gone are the days of what I call the golden age of diplomacy of the 18th century, where your envoy could say whatever and the host country would believe. They rely on that news information.
They have their own sources of information.
Absolutely. So the world is not hidden anymore. So your credibility as a diplomat and as a nation gets challenged when you are trying to fudge.
When you're trying to build an image and things at home are not that pretty.